Hello, first grade. It's time for our history lesson. If you don't have this already, you may go get your My America and My World book, and we are going to continue traveling around the United States. Now, unfortunately, we don't get to stop at every state. There wouldn't be enough time to do that, but if you have some travels, we would love to see them. And let me check the app to see if we can fly yet. No, not time yet. So we'll just travel there in our minds and with the beautiful pictures we can see. So we are still over on the East Coast. We are in Washington, D.C. today. And Mrs. Olson showed you some pictures of when she visited there, and I know Hunter did as well. And if others have been here, we would love to see your pictures of your travels. In Washington, D.C., we can see the Lincoln Memorial. Remember, a memorial means when people have passed away and they want to remember them, and it's in their memory. The Washington Monument is one of the tallest monuments in the world. Again, a monument is a marker that shows just a memory and a tribute to the person. And of course, we know that is Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. And the White House, where the president lives and works. I couldn't go knock on his door. They wouldn't let me get that close. So I know he wanted to see me, but he was kind of busy. So I just was able to take pictures of his house. And the Capitol, where Congress makes our laws. Congress is the senators and the House of Representatives. And if you get to go there, sometimes you get to see them in session too, when they're making the laws or discussing things. Pretty fun. And then we're still on the East Coast here. We're going to move over here to Williamsburg, Virginia. From Washington, D.C., we will go to Williamsburg, Virginia. Let me show you where that is on the map. So we know Washington, D.C. was right here. And then we're going to go right down here just to Virginia. Like I say, we're still over here on the East Coast. So there are many beautiful buildings built to look like they did in the 1700s. And many who work here dress as the people did in the 1700s, just like you got to do. When our Revolutionary War soldier came to visit, Mr. Wills, you guys got to dress up like he did. And see all of the things that he would have used back then, or that the people would have. It was pretty fun to see all those things, wasn't it? Hopefully you tell your parents about those. We can watch a blacksmith. That means people who make things out of iron, like the horseshoes and like the fork and spoon he showed us, made out of iron. Or we can see someone make candles. Remember the beeswax he showed us? And we can watch a baker bake cookies. Better yet, we can buy one to eat. Yummy. Remember, they didn't have all the fancy things they have now, so they kind of had to use a fire for a stove and things like that. So it might have tasted a little bit different than it would today. And there's much to see and learn at Williamsburg. And again, I know a couple of you got to visit there, so if you want to post your pictures on the lesson, that would be wonderful. And then we're moving on to the Mississippi River. So again, we're going to kind of have to travel a little faster than we normally would by car, or even not spend as much time as we would normally. But the Mississippi River flows all the way here from Minnesota and goes all the way down by our Baker here out to the Gulf of Mexico. So the Mississippi River right over here. So after traveling west a long time, we cross America's largest and most important river, the Mississippi River. It asks, do you think you can learn how to spell Mississippi? Let's try it. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. Has 4 I's. And then we're moving down here to the Great Plains. It says, as we continue to travel west, we see flat land called prairies and plains. Much of our wheat and corn is grown in the Great Plains, states. This part of America also has many cattle and sheep ranches. Cattle are cows. Right? And later on we'll be talking about the chaff that the wind blows away. That's the outside covering of the kernels. So when we think about our memory verse this week too, or this month, we think about the chaff that the wind blows away. Mrs. Olson will show you with some wheat what that looks like. Right, so I'll show you where our Great Plains states are. So right about here in the middle, like Kansas and Oklahoma and Nebraska, right, is where they grow a lot of our corn and wheat, right, the Great Plains states. And then we're moving here to South Dakota to go to Mount Rushmore. And again, I know we saw Mr. Hunter with a picture from there. Our next stop is in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Here we see Mount Rushmore. It is a huge carving of the heads of 4 great presidents: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. And the head of Washington alone is as tall as a 6-story building. It may not look like it here, but just imagine. Remember when you were here in the classroom? Our building is 1 story high. Can you imagine 6 floors? So an artist decided it would be fun to carve all of their faces as a memory in their honor of our 4 great presidents. And then we're moving on to Wyoming to go to Yellowstone National Park. So it's right up here in this top corner of Wyoming. Mrs. Olson just got to go there last summer. It's not too far, right? And it is very beautiful. The next stop is Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. Here there are many wonders of God's creation to see. Old Faithful is a geyser that spouts every 35 to 120 minutes. So I'd say it's, when I visited, it's pretty close to about an hour or an hour and 15 minutes every time. And that's why it's called Old Faithful. You can kind of guess when it's going to go off again. So God made thermal pools in the ground there, and they get so hot that just like a tea kettle, they need to spout up into get rid of the steam, and it shoots water way up high. And it says there are over 300 geysers in Yellowstone. Yellowstone has many beautiful waterfalls. You might see a family of bears. If we do, we'll have to keep our car windows rolled up. Or I guess if you have an electric one, you just push the button. You don't want to feed the bears. Yellowstone has many beautiful lakes and rivers. Many people like to fish there, because that you can do if you have a license. But it does say that the animals are protected and we can't hunt there though. The Grand Teton National Park, right next to it. We are still in Wyoming. Our next stop is the Grand Teton National Park, just south of Yellowstone. It too has many beautiful mountains, lakes, and forests. Many wild animals live safely here as they do in Yellowstone. It means they're protected just for us to enjoy. Some people think the Grand Teton Mountains are so beautiful, they call them the Alps of America. The Alps are some beautiful mountains over in Europe, but we have our own beautiful mountains right here in America, and that's why they call them the Alps, because they are snow-covered all year and just gorgeous. So we can be so thankful for God's creation for us to enjoy. So as soon as we're able to travel, when we can go out and about, we will again. But again, if you have pictures, just put them in the reply of our lesson, and we would love to see some of your travels if we didn't get to see them in class already. Maybe some of your moms and dads can help us with that. All right, we will talk with you later when we take off on another leg of our journey. Ta-ta for now.